let's continue on the naked seed plants. I'm going to go through again with Ginkgo Fighter, but the first part will just be briefly, and then we'll move on to the new stuff. As well as I'm going to cover the Kahoot that Cleve did with us about, well, naked seed plants. All right, so let's go. Ginkgo Fighter, sole surviving member, Ginkgo biloba, and the seeds are used as food in Asia. Leaves are distinctly fan-shaped. They grow on these short shoots here. They are deciduous, so that means they will change color depending on the season. They're not evergreen, basically. Picture, and then so the fossil dates from Permian period. So about maybe not this one, but who knows? I'm not sure if this is from the Permian period. It is 280 million years ago, and the Ginkgo biloba is considered a living fossil. That means that this one, the current surviving member, looks very similar to the ancient ones. Currently it's believed that no natural population exists for Ginkgo biloba, and its survival is only due to cultivation in China, Japan, Korea, and other places. But I believe they're also used as street trees nowadays in various locations. Anyways, so these are the new parts. The rest, they're new. So pay attention. Ginkgo biloba, they are unisexual, and they have the males have microstrobulus, which is this structure here. This is the microstrobulus. They're comprised of stalked microsporangia. This sort of bean-like thing. This is the microsporangia, and the stalk connecting to the microstrobulus. And if you remember the word strobulus, that is the same as the name for the very similar structure in Fernalize. Alright, for female trees, we have the megastrobulus, and it is composed of a pair of ovules, this and this. These are the ovules on a short stalk. So, this stalk, this entire thing, that's the stalk. Alright, so for pollination, the pollens of ginkgo is dispersed by wind, and the pollen would land on something called the pollination drop. This is a drop of sticky liquid produced by the ovule to trap pollen, so they can actually stick to the ovule instead of being blown away by the wind. Now, sexual reproduction of ginkgo as well as cycads, that's the next phylum we're going to talk about. They are totally different from pine and conifers. Conifers, the pollen tube will germinate, and then it will directly send the sperm to the egg. Okay, it will basically send the sperm to the cytoplasm of the egg. But this is different. So after the pollen enters the what is it, the ovule through the micropyle, the pollen tube will germinate and dig into the nucellus for food. Okay, so this for food to absorb food is for more growing as well as probably this part and the production of sperm. So when it is sufficiently grown and the sperms are created, the base of the pollen tube enlarges and then ruptures, so it breaks, and it releases two motile sperm cells. This means that the sperm will have a flagellum or flagella that can swim around, and they will swim to fertilize the eggs. Now, what that means, one thing, is that this this environment, will need liquid and to allow the sperm to swim, as well as, well, basically the sperm needs water to swim. And anyways, so despite the female gametophyte maybe producing more than one egg, and as well as more than one egg could be fertilized and develop into embryos, only one embryo would survive at the end. What that means is that one ovule can only produce one embryo and in turn one seed. Now, This is the fertilized ovules and turn into a mature seed. This may look like a fruit. It is indeed. It does have like a fleshy layer, which does feel like a fruit, but it is not a fruit. It is a seed, and it is covered in 3 layers of seed coat, and the fleshy layer is the most outermost layer, and the second layer is the hard stony layer that is a big that plays a big part in protecting the seed, as well as the third part, which is the papery layer. Okay, so for sporophyte, this is inside or a cross section of the seed. You see the sporophyte embryo. This is diploid 2N, and the mega gametophyte will act as a food storage, and this part is 1N, so it is haploid. Okay, that is it for ginkgo. Now we'll move on to cycads. Now you might have seen this around before. This is, I believe, quite a common plant that they will use to plant in parks. They first evolved and showed up in the Carboniferous period about 320 million years ago. They were the dominant land plant during the time of the dinosaurs, so Jurassic, Cretaceous, maybe even the Triassic period, who knows? And they are found in tropical and subtropical environments. And ornamental just means they're used as decorative plants, so planted in parks and such. They are generally unbranched, no branches, with the large cylindrical trunk, you can see, and they have a crown of leaves at the trunk top. Sometimes this is a male because these are the male cones. Leaves are hard, leathery, and they're very palm-like. And you can see the common name for this could be a sago palm, but it is not a palm. Palm trees are angiosperms, which means that they are flowering plants, but cycads are naked seed plants. They do not have flowers. Now, for cycads, again, they are unisexual like ginkgo, and the females have a much smaller structure than the male. The male, this part is just called a cone. There's no name for this for the female, at least not mentioned here. Anyways, so the male cone is composed of microsporophylls. Each of these scales, they are microsporophylls, and they bear numerous sporangia. So if you pick one off, you can see a lot of sporangia at the base of it. And for for females, the megasporophylls are woolly, so that they have that means they have very small, fine hair on the surface, and they are loosely aggregated at the stem apex. So that means these leaves they're at the top of the trunk, and the ovules are on the side of it, growing on the side of it, and the pollen grain will be deposited near the microbiome of the ovule. Very similar to other plants. Fertilization, this part is similar to ginkgo and totally different from conifers, where the pollen tube grows and digs into the megasporangium or the nucellus and absorbs food, and the pollen tube would burst open near the archegonium, but it does not deliver the sperm right to the egg. It releases the motile sperm, and those sperm will swim to fertilize the egg. That means, again, that environment really needs water or some liquid. Pollen tube, da da da. And yeah. So, this is the sperm. It looks like a jellyfish with the flagella. And the seeds. The seeds are all covered in the megasporophyll. So, again, this part is covered up. And they're naked, obviously. They're colorful, usually sometimes like bright red, purple, yellow color, and they are dispersed by larger animals. So, for example, birds or mammals. The bright color usually helps attract like these animals to eat them or carry them away. Now, I'm not sure if they eat them because eating this might just destroy the seed entirely for mammals. So, I'm not sure about that. For birds, it's fine. Birds don't really like crush open seeds. Actually, no. Uh, oh well, never mind. Now, finally, we reach the phylum Gnatophyta, which is the last gymnosperm member we'll talk about. There is only three genera: the Netum, Ephedra, and Welwitschia. They are very unusual. Why? So, pollen tube discharges sperm directly into the cytoplasm of the egg, which is very similar to conifers. They don't have motile sperms, and the xylem contains vessel members, which are typically found in flowering plants, and not tracheids. Tracheids, just it's like the more primitive xylem, which are found in other gymnosperms. So usually that means, oh, that actually means they do not have tracheids. All right. So for the first genus, Nictum, there's about 35 species of trees or climbing not vine, and they have leathery leaves that are broad and blade-like with network of venation. They are they look very similar to dicot leaves, but their dicot leaves are only present in angiosperms or flowering plants, and these are not that basically. And then males, they have strobilus, comprised of layers of microsporangia and aborted ovules. I'm not sure where the aborted ovules are, but these are the microsporangia. For the females, you have the hores of ovules. So one sort of circle is one set of ovules. They do not have archegonium, which is a feature of flowering plants. And the Netum, they have naked seeds. Okay, so the next genus, the Ephedra, there is about 40 species of densely branched shrubs that could be found in tropical or arid, so dry areas. The leaves are small and scale-like. They are very similar to horsetails, and I forgot what this is. They look like this. And so, this is the male strobili and female strobili. They do look a bit like flowers, but again, they're not flowering plants, so they're not flowers. But ephedra, they could be unisexual or bisexual. It depends on the species. And the male strobilus, so let's see, this entire thing is the male strobilus. They have like different branches of microsporangia, and the microsporangia is connected by the microsporangiophore, this little stalk here. Okay, right. For the females, there are a series of bracts of ovules, so this here, and with ovules, and the ovules are formed inside archegonium, which is not like Netum. Netum does not even have archegonium. Okay, all right. So now, Ephedra is used in traditional Chinese medicine for treatments of asthma, bronchitis, so respiratory problems. I'm not 100% sure if this is Ephedra, but um, like if you have taken this or during the COVID period, this is like used a lot frequently to like medicate the symptoms of COVID. And this thing, the Fating Wen Gaolong, each capsule contains 85 milligrams of ephedra. All right, but I'm not sure Ma Wong is ephedra or not, but that doesn't really matter. So this is Chinese medicine. For Western medicine, ephedra is also used. Um, ephedrine is extracted from ephedra seneca, and again they're used as a bronchodilator, so respiratory problem related stuff. So again, just helps with like respiratory problems. All right, so now we move on to the final member, the Welwitschia mirabilis. It is like the single living species. It is kind of like ginkgo, like as in it is the sole living member. And then it is only found in the Namib Desert of Namibia and like nearby regions of Southwest Africa. Most of the plants, they're buried in the sandy soil, so the roots and the stems, they're under the ground. And two strap-like leaves, so strap-like leaves, will continue to grow as the plants live on, and they can grow up to 4 meters long. And then, what is this? I'm not too sure what this is. I think this is just showing off like the cones, like the male-female cones. Now, male cones with microsporangia. This is the cone, and the little pokey out things, they are the microsporangia, and they're on short stalks. And for the female, they have ovules with no archegonium formed. I think these within this there is the ovule. And disgusting, horrible bug. I really don't like this. Anyways, so female cones after fertilization, they will kind of open up. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so FYI, these are unisexual plants. I was just looking it up. And also, I think this bug is actually associated with this plant because as I'm digging through Wikipedia, there's this immature nymphs and adults with well-wished up bugs of this thing. I'm not gonna click it because I don't really like that. Anyways, right. So finally, we'll talk about the links and a bit of a relationship between Phyta and angiosperms. So, Phyta plants share many similarities with Phyta, the angiosperms. They have vessel members in the xylem instead of the tracheids. Some do not have archegonia, like Nitum and Walrichter, which is a feature of angiosperm, and they have something called the double fertilization, which is present in Ephedra. Originally, this double fertilization was thought to be unique to angiosperms. So there is a idea that maybe Phyta is actually quite closely related to angiosperms. Okay, but there are still three hypotheses, which is quite crazy. There is the first one, the Notofer hypothesis. Look here. Oh, too big. Okay, so they thought that Netophytes are the most closely related to conifers. So conifers, conitophytes, and Netophytes, while ginkgo and cycads, they're kind of doing their own thing with angiosperm at the very end. They so these two share one common ancestor here, and these ones just share one common ancestor here. These three, and these all of them share one common ancestor with the angiosperm. And then the second one, the Gnipine hypothesis, which believes that it's similar to this, but even more sort of detailed or placed into the group. It is even more closely related to Pinaceae, which is pines. So pines and Netophytes share one common ancestor, while these two share one common ancestor with other conifers, and this big group, so Netophytes as well as conifers share one common ancestor with ginkgos and cycads, and the rest is same as this. Now, for the third one, the anthophyte hypothesis, which believes that Netophytes are the most closely related to angiosperms because of the many features observed with like they're similar to angiosperms. So that means these four, the Amphiphytes, Conifers, Ginkgos, and Cycads share one common ancestor before branching off entirely, and Netophytes and Angiosperms share one more recent common ancestor. Now, I did see it with my little eye here. Um, like something about the placement, but where is it? No sperm placed in this family. No biology. No, it's not biology, is it? Cultivation, food conservation. Okay, I'm not too sure where it is. Because I can't find it. All right, never mind. I think there was one part who said that recent like phylogenetic analysis has placed. Oh, sorry. This has what is more convinced of this instead of this, but I couldn't find it, so never mind. All right, so we are done with gymnosperms. Now we'll go on to the Kahoot that Cleve did with us. 78 members. The members are dwindling. Okay, which of these are seed plants? This is sakura, which is I think yingfa or toufa. Cypress, type of conifer, and orchids. These are seed plants. Okay, these three are seed plants. Tree ferns are fern. Pyrophyte, that's an algae. Lycopodium, that's a fern ally. Which of the following are unique structures features in seed plants? Antheridia, that is not unique to seed plants. That is actually like that is a structure that is not maintained, possessed by a lot of different plants, or like even mosses have them. Ovules, pollen, and secondary growth. These are the features that are featured only in seed plants. All right. What is a pollen grain? It is a endosporic male gametophyte, and it is derived, so it is grown in the microsporangium. So what that means is that the microsporangium gives rise to the pollen grain, and inside the pollen grain there is a endosporic male gametophyte. All right, good. The major edible tissue in gymnosperm seed is actually haploid, which is, as I mentioned, because I got this question wrong, quite disappointingly. This if we eat the megagametophyte as well as the embryo, but the main sort of part that we eat, the big part that we eat, is the megagametophyte, which is haploid. All right. So, which of the following gymnosperms have motile sperms? Cycad and ginkgo. Nitum, pine, they do not. Okay. So basically, Nitophyta and Conifophyta, they do not have motile sperms. Only Cycadophyta, and Ginkgophyta have motile sperms. Which of the following is true about megaspores and in gymnospores? Um, Megaspores, they will only produce one megaspore in each microsporangium, and they develop into endosporic female gametophytes. They will never be free living, and they will never be released for dispersal. Cycad seeds are likely to be dispersed by mammals, like humans, for cultivation, and birds, for food, probably. Alright, that concludes for the seed plant and gymnosperm Kahoot. And I hope you will watch this video. And next time, we will probably get into angiosperms, which is the last member of the plants. Truly exciting. There'll be a lot of things to learn. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.